By the way, it was a great trailer, but the movie, oh, the movie.
Should we pull a quote from the Book of Johns?
Oh, yes. The wise cinema philosopher Jeremy Johns once said,
Ghostbusters, afterthought.
You made the comment that the director was shopping for a new tone with this movie. Do you think he went shopping at the dollar store?
Oh, wow.
I see what you did there.
Hi, I'm Teresa. Welcome to Cocoon Cast, where we deep dive into movies and discuss all things cinema.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. Today we'll be discussing the new movie, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire.
Rebecca, let's get started.
It's been 3 years since the Spangler family and their associates banished Gozer the Gozerian from this mortal realm, and things are starting to set into a familiar rhythm. But when a mysterious ball covered in an ancient language finds itself on their proverbial doorstep, the Ghostbusters find themselves at the mercy of an evil spirit who walks the path between life and death with ease, and a chill that's more than just creeping up one's spine. Will they manage to free New York City from this freezing fiend's grasp?
That's pretty intense. Woo! Wow.
Got chills, huh?
It's a frozen Ghostbusters movie.
You and I both have an extensive history with Ghostbusters, but I wanted to focus on yours first.
Oh, because it's so extensive and I'm so old. Translation. I saw the first Ghostbusters when I was 14. Yes, cinema community, do the math. I remember my first boyfriend and we went and saw it. It was very exciting. Actually, I think we went with his dad too because we're still pretty young. However, it pulled me in. And ever since that time, I have seen all the Ghostbusters movies. You grow up seeing the Ghostbusters movie. We were so excited when the trailer for this movie came out. I remember you had sent it to us. We were waiting for tickets to come out. By the way, it was a great trailer, but the movie, oh, the movie. This one, I think my excitement is starting to wane.
Should we pull a quote from the Book of Johns?
Oh, yes. The wise cinema philosopher Jeremy Johns once said,
Ghostbusters, afterthought.
Kind of what it was.
Definitely put into words what I was thinking.
Oh, it's painful because even the last reboot, even the last one, Jason Reitman, who had directed it, wrote it, his dad, right? Another Reitman, just, I enjoyed that one a lot. Introduced Paul Rudd, love Paul Rudd. This one felt like, obviously it was a different movie, but it felt like a different universe with ghosts and cute little marshmallows that I tend to have a fixation for.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Is it just because you feel like Gil Kennan wasn't the right guy for the job?
Meaning the director, right?
Yes, the director of this one.
But he helped write it with Jason Reitman. It's like, hello, Jason Reitman, what's up with this? It didn't feel cohesive. I was so disappointed. And honestly, I was kind of chuckling because I was getting a little tired. There was this segment, this story, this person. It didn't come together. Obviously, Bill Murray is in it, which, back in the day, Dan Aykroyd, your buddy, right? Patton Oswalt, Camille, he's hilarious.
Camille is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to die.
But it just didn't seem to come together. McKenna Grace, she's a great young actress, and I like her character. She had things to say, and she, I liked her role in this movie a lot. But other than that, I really wasn't, not afraid because I think there's supposed to be some suspense, but there were some interesting elements, right? There was the lab and they were showing what was happening, but it felt predictable. It felt as if you're like me, right? You grew up watching these movies and you really like them. I appreciated the nods back to the old pieces, right? Like when Dan Aykroyd's in there and he's in the library and it's like, blah. So I found the nostalgia piece interesting and fun, but it didn't feel particularly innovative beyond that. And like I said, it felt very disjointed to me.
I think that's partially because Gil has talked about this in interviews. There's a really good interview that he had with Hollywood Reporter talking about the different tone that they wanted to create with this film. For those in our community who may or may not remember, there's a couple animated series that were focused around the Ghostbusters. It kind of creates an alternate continuity in some ways. Gil specifically says, we wanted to create like a full-length episode of The Real Ghostbusters. And I really saw that in this film. I was hoping for a little bit more Ghostbusters movie-esque quality. There definitely is a tonal change, but I see what they were going for with it.
That's impressive because I did not know this. I didn't read this. I appreciated hearing the tone was very intentional because from where I sat, it didn't feel that way. It felt as if the storytelling wasn't up on par to what the previous ones were, which was sad to me. But it also, if that was the tone, it just feels like the beginning would have set the tone. The beginning, you and I were talking about on the way back to the studio, we really liked the beginning and we were really engaged, thinking this is really going to go somewhere interesting.
I really thought the beginning gave like a sample of what I like from Ghostbusters now.
That's correct.
Especially considering Afterlife has had some time to settle. I really enjoyed the perspective that Afterlife created. It was a more thoughtful Ghostbusters movie. There's definitely some laughs in there, but it's more philosophical in tone. And the beginning of this movie gives you a tease of that. Then it kind of yanks it away. And I was kind of disappointed because I wanted some more of that tone. That being said, I did enjoy the feeling that you get that's a nod to the old cartoons.
Just the cartoons, but not necessarily the movies in your mind, because I felt like there were some nods to the movies in addition to, right, the old cast was back.
That's correct. I just enjoy some of the more tonal shifts. They definitely knew what they were aiming for, and it helped me to kind of know that because I was kind of disappointed in the same camp that you were, and I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. I can appreciate this movie more now.
Wow. All right. I'll take that for what it is. I enjoyed the music a lot, actually. The music really was a standout to me.
I know that was a highlight for you. You liked Rob Simonson's score on the previous Ghostbusters movie,
Yes.
and you liked the older score as well.
I do. I'm thinking, yeah, everybody's doing the little Ghostbuster dance. But beyond that, I think there were parts of it that I liked. The cinematography was okay. The new cast, because I have to think about it, it's like, why didn't I really love this movie when I love and so invested in this franchise? And it wasn't, old cast versus new cast. I think the new cast I'm warming up to and actually really like. I appreciate the legacy piece.
I did like the chemistry that the old cast had with the new cast. There's different characters that are bridged by their relationships with the old cast, so I think that was kind of sweet too.
I agree with that. I think that was actually good. We're talking about, the editing. It was longer. I think it could have been a bit shorter. But at the same time, I think, okay, well, what would I cut out when it felt like it's kind of like a vignette, not necessarily fully fleshed out, cohesive movie. And part of it is, I think, where might this go next? Because my thought is most likely they're going to do another movie that follows this.
That's my understanding as well, that they've discussed this as being part of a trilogy.
That's fair. And it did feel like a bridge from the last one. It just felt like it wasn't as strong of a bridge.
That might be just because you and I have different tastes in movies.
Sure.
Than most people are expecting for this kind of franchise.
I'm over there going, I just want to see the Stay Puffs and see what they do. And one of them, lit himself with a lighter, and one's going in like a little pencil sharpener. And they're going up against the glass and everything. I'm an easy amuse. I mean, truly, if it's funny, if it's cute, I like it. The effects, I wanted to like more.
It felt like a filler film to me.
I know. I hate that too, because I really want to love this movie and I wanted to love it more, but I don't think it's reasonable to say it was wonderful. Go see it. Go. It just didn't hit the mark.
I think that's really rough, especially because we liked the last movie so much.
Oh, very much.
So we're coming off of that high and we're kind of dipping down to almost a low.
Do we have any questions from the box?
You made the comment that the director was shopping for a new tone with this movie. Do you think he went shopping at the dollar store?
Oh, wow.
I see what you did there. I don't think he hit the dollar store. I think that for the tone he's aiming at, he nailed it. For everybody else who doesn't like that tone, you are not going to like this movie. Yeah, I know. I know.
I appreciate, though, you mentioning that and saying that, though, because had you not said, I wouldn't even have known that at all. And maybe our cinema community, I'd love to have our cinema community comment. Maybe they know this. Maybe the tone, it hit right for them.
I know for a lot of people in my age range growing up, the only exposure we really had to new Ghostbusters content was the cartoons and some comic books.
Wow, that's the foundation.
Besides the movies, but that was like ancient to us.
Hey. Look who you're calling ancient over here. I respect that because you're right. It's old. The technology's old. But you love Harold Ramis. You grew up around Harold Ramis. You love, right, Dan Aykroyd. You love a lot of the oldies, if you will.
I do. It's just interesting to see different lenses applied to things that you think are static and realize how fluid they become in this film space.
Do we have any other questions from the box?
Speaking of technology, one of the things I noticed was they have the proton packs, and there's a point where they're doing research and updating them, but they still looked so old, like the 1984 proton packs. And it's, if we're like, 30, 40 years later, shouldn't these look a little different? Shouldn't they be more updated? That in itself, to me, with the whole cohesive thing, just it took you out. It made you feel like you're watching a 1980s movie instead of seeing a 2024 movie. What do you think about that?
I think some of the technology changes are different. There is one trap in the opening sequence that's affixed to a drone. So they definitely are aware that there's some lagging behind that they need to kind of catch up to make you believe that they're in a modern situation. That being said, I think that there's certain props like the proton packs where you can sort of adjust a bit before the fans kind of lose their cookies, so to speak, and say, it's not our proton pack. And then all of a sudden you have these modders getting so frustrated that there's something that they can't build off of. There's a whole modding community for this.
Oh, I believe that. And also, I was laughing when you said the drone. I noticed that too. But the other part to address what the box is saying, there was, right, Ernie had this lab. And I think that was part of it. It's like we're trying to develop new technology to do these things. But that being said, the technology they showed, right, the little gun and things like that, it didn't feel like they've arrived. But the thought is, we're trying to get there. We're trying to get there.
There's also kind of an in-universe commentary. If you think about it, it's almost like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that kind of applied to things like the neutrino wands and stuff like that. If you want an inside perspective on some of the prop designs and functionality, I'd encourage you to check out Adam Savage's Tested series. He did a series like this for Afterlife, but I watched a couple videos for Frozen Empire where he goes behind the scenes of the prop department, but also the production design.
Rebecca, it is that time of the show. I have 5 spooky moths hovering nearby. What do you think?
I'm not going to send away as many as you might think today.
I think that's probably true.
This is a 3-moth movie for me.
Wow. All right. Number 1 reason.
It's not the Ghostbusters that I'm like immediately like, yes, give me more. But I enjoyed it. I had fun. I just wish there was a little bit more spook factor and a little bit more fine hemming of some of the story.
Worth a watch?
I think it's worth a watch. Even if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, I think this is still an interesting story about family dynamics and how they change when you get older.
The deep, yeah, exactly. The drama, the comedy, the horror, the relational. Yes.
Sounds like my life.
Yeah, right. It's got a lot going on. All right, Miss Spook, let's talk. All righty. 1 to 5, 1 to 5. I'm probably going to send away more than you think.
Oh boy.
I would say it's 2 and a wing. I think it's an average movie. And as you said, if you don't like Ghostbusters, you could still find something you like. I just don't think it was that profound.
Afterlife is still the Ghostbusters movie to beat for me.
I could like it a lot. I don't disagree with that one. I think for me, the average isn't overly generous, but a little, because the acting was good. The story, different plots of the story were good. There were ideas, but they were felt unfinished or disjointed. So to say, this is above average, that's why I'm really on like the 2 and a wing. I think there were enough things to make it average.
Side note, there's a lot of inappropriate jokes, so please don't take your younger kids to this one.
Well, what happened? At one point, this little girl stood up. She's 4, I think, maybe 5. I suspect she's closer to 4. And she's like, I'm scared. I'm scared. It's like, whoa. And that's not even like, hey, he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. That shouldn't have been said.
There was some of that in there, too.
There was some of that. I don't disagree. But I also think, having seen all the Ghostbuster movies from the very beginning and multiple times, I was having a hard time bridging it.
I can see your point. There's definitely a variety. It's like Star Wars fans. You have the fans who like the prequels, you have the fans who like the sequels, and you have the people that are just only emotionally invested in the original trilogy.
I liked all of them with the exception of the 2016 reboot. And I'm sure people in our cinema community loved it, but Chris Hemsworth was about the only part that I really found funny. Even Melissa McCarthy, I was bummed about.
I'd be curious to see what our cinema community thinks of the Ghostbusters films by ranking them. I'd also like to hear from our cinema community who's seen any of the animated series. Feel free to chime in with your thoughts below.
You can't be the only one.
Nope, I don't think I am.
I don't think you are either. Thanks for joining us this week. We're always excited to create experiences to bring our cinema community together.
Next week, we are doing a special show about one of our 5 moth masterpieces. The only hint you're getting is that it's from 2010.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. It really helps us out.
If you enjoyed this show, you might check out last week where we talked about the winners and losers in the 2024 Oscars. And on our Movies and More weekly show, we reviewed Arthur the King.
Remember, cinema community, movies are better together. Thanks for watching. See you in the next review.